Now that we have Hello World, what do we do next?
Hi guys, I'm Paul, this is Diane, we're the PC Zombies, and we're going to talk about what we do right after we get Hello World. And in particular, I'm going to show you how I set up the BIOS, and also how I save the BIOS to a stock setting that I can go back to in the future.
He's going to share his secrets.
Yeah, here comes my secrets, let's do it.
All right.
And eventually it gets to where it runs, and look, we're getting stuff on the screen now too.
Here it comes up.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Hey,
good job.
Now let's see the BIOS, let's hit F1. There we go.
There we go.
Now the first thing I look at in the BIOS after I first boot up is I make sure the temperature of the CPU isn't too high. Now that's a little high, and if I was going to actually work with this computer, I'd probably repaste the CPU and make sure I've got the lower temperature. But we're not going to use this air fan other than for a little bit of Hello World testing, and we're not going to be pushing the heat that much. So it's okay for us to do what we're doing, but that's always where you want to start off. It should have been around 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, we got the BIOS running. The first thing I always like to do, is make a couple of minor changes and then save the settings as a stock profile. So let's do that first. The two things I look for right off. No matter how we overclock or whatever else we do, how the computer boots up, I might want to change. So I go over to boot. I scroll down to boot configuration, and here are the two things I look at. Remember I said that post means power on self-test? That's where it's running and checking the memory and everything. Well, once it gets good at doing it and it's trained the memory, it could be really fast on a fast processor like mine. But even still, there's a setting here called post delay time. Let's select it. And it's set to 3 seconds. That means as well as what it's doing to self-test, it'll wait another 3 seconds so that you can hit the F2 key to bring up the BIOS. Well, 3 seconds is a long time. If you set it to 0, it may go so fast you can't get into the BIOS. But setting it down to 2 seconds, for me at least, feels a little bit more reasonable. I don't have to wait so long to hit the F2 key before it goes on and continues to boot up the computer. The next one I like to look at is the boot up numlock state. Now I don't use keyboards with keypads, so I want this always off. So in my case, I'm going to turn that to off. If you use keyboards with keypads, you may want to keep it on. Just numlock kills me because I get in, I start typing, and I get weird typing. It drives me nuts. The last thing I do is I save the profile. Saving the profile is really important because you might want to go back to this stock configuration again in the future. The two little minor changes we made now aren't going to be that big of a deal. So the way you do that is select Tool and then select ASUS User Profile. That brings up a way to save profile. You then scroll down. You then enter a profile name. Why don't you say stock? Go down to profile 1 and hit enter. Do you really want to save it? Yes, we saved it. Now I go on one step further to load save profile to a USB drive. And because we want to save the BIOS, let's put a flash drive in. I just use the same one that has my BIOS on it. And then I can start saving current snapshots of the BIOS at different times in the future. Hit F2. Now type stock and hit OK. Okay, we've saved the file to the flash drive. So now we have a flash drive with the original settings. We've saved the profile, but we haven't saved them in the BIOS yet. So hit exit and save, and it saves the BIOS. So the next time you boot up, it'll work just the same way as we set it up.
Got it.
So that's all I do with the BIOS. That's how to save it. I got it on a flash drive, so now we're good. Next, we get to move on and do some fun new stuff.
So does that mean we can put all the extra stuff in, like the RGB and put the water cooler in?
And the fans and all that stuff. That could be, oh, no.
What?
No.
Oh.
We want to do a little bit more testing before we start taking more risk. And it's easy. We'll do it in the next video. What we're going to test next is the memory work. Do the traces on the motherboard work? There's some weird tests that you can actually do. I'm going to point out a few of them. And then after that, we can start building out the computer.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be patient.
Hey guys, please subscribe if you want to see more videos. Appreciate it.
And we love the thumbs ups.
Thanks guys. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye.